staff have been given the green light to raise parking rates. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Thunder Bay City Council has approved a new plan that will force drivers to pay more for parking.
The decision was made at last night's meeting, but not before some changes meant to ease the burden on drivers and businesses. City Hall reporter Vasilios Bellos is following the story and joins us in studio with the details. Vasilios.
Thanks, Ryan. The plan will still mean paid parking at the marina, though Council voted to decrease the hourly charge from $3 to $2, except at the Market Square lot. Another decision means a phased-in approach to monthly parkade rates rather than an immediate increase of nearly 50%. Thunder Bay City Council is rolling ahead with the new parking financing plan.
I understand how tough it is going to be, and it is probably going to modify some behavior.
The controversial plan means metered rates will jump 50 cents to $2 an hour, with paid parking hours being extended to 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. The approval means residents will also have to start paying for parking at the marina, beginning June 1st, though that burden was eased after an amendment supported by all 9 councillors in attendance.
I think $2 is reasonable if you're charging $2 everywhere else all over the place.
The amendment was brought forward by Councillor Michael Zucino and drops the hourly rate from $3 to $2 everywhere at the marina but Market Square.
Especially for families, for older people. I don't want to see the costs prohibitive to go to restaurants, otherwise you're inhibiting some of the businesses that are down there.
City staff estimated dropping hourly rates at the majority of the marina will result in about $180,000 in lost revenue annually. There was another notable change to the parking plan on Monday, with a separate amendment fueled by a waterfront district BIA deputation.
It's good that they are listening. It's sometimes rare, not gonna lie.
BIA members were asking for the increased 2 monthly parkade passes to be phased in over 2 years, rather than the immediate proposed jump from $61 to $90. Councillor Andrew Fold saw the benefits, bringing forward the amendment that received council support.
Particularly the small businesses in the downtown, that, you know, coming out of the pandemic, that would be another huge expense.
We are happy that the big things that we did ask for were considered and put forward to hold off.
The other big change saw council hit the brakes on the sale of the Crooks parking lot. It's meant to help Northside businesses through the revitalization project, with council reconsidering the sale in 2026. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
The CEO of one of the companies looking to create mines in the Ring of Fire was the keynote speaker at the Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce Leaders Luncheon today.
Kristen Straub of Wailu Metals gave an update on the company's activities related to the Eagle's Nest nickel mine project.
So new deposits will ultimately have to be put into production, and we face a choice as Canada. Do we want to see Indonesian nickel come in with the environmental and the social elements around it, or do we want to invest in Canadian and Australian nickel?
With a federal mandate for all new vehicles to be electric by 2035, the need for natural resources from here in Canada is growing and making companies like Wailu more prominent than ever before. The planned roads to access the Eagle's Nest mine in the Ring of Fire will travel near multiple Indigenous communities, including Martin Falls and Webakwe, which have given support. But Niskandiga and other First Nations have been vocal opponents to opening up that region to mining. Wailu CEO Kristen Straub spoke about how they're addressing the resistance from some communities.
That's entirely up to the First Nations on that particular side, but our commitment is to continue to work with Webakwe and Martin Falls. Hopefully communities like Araland, where the corridor and the road is anticipated to pass through, we'll be able to have ongoing discussions with them. And to the point about Niskandiga, I believe the chief has recently come out and said they're not opposed to development, but there are some conditions that they believe need to be met ahead of time. I think that that's something that they can continue to work towards, and we can support if required.
Local businesses and community members were able to ask questions as the presentation wrapped up, allowing them to better understand the different mining techniques that will be used and the resources that would be acquired and the economic benefits not only for our region but for the country as a whole as the production of naturally sourced minerals increases.
The country, the world needs these minerals, and they're going to get them from somewhere, and we need to make sure that we're providing those opportunities for Canada to provide provide those minerals, because we will do it in a way that is more environmentally friendly, cleaner, better human rights and employment relations.
There are still many steps to be taken before the mine is developed, but the end date for the final environmental assessments are to be completed by 2028, and then moving on to the permitting stages before construction can commence. Nipawin OPP had to deal with another transport crash this afternoon, this time on Highway 11 near the Poly Lake turnoff. Few details are available at this time regarding potential injuries or if any other vehicles were involved. Meanwhile, there was a close call in the Nipawin area yesterday afternoon that could have been disastrous. This dashcam video is from a transport trying to pass another rig on Highway 11, when suddenly that transport that was being passed makes a move to pass another truck up ahead. The first transport is forced onto the shoulder, but manages to maintain control and move back into its lane. OPP Constable Matt Foster has seen the footage. He says this kind of driving behavior is unacceptable. The OPP encourages the public to contact police if they see dangerous driving like this.
Changes are coming to the curriculum for kindergarten students here in Ontario.
The province's education minister is promising a focus on back to basics learning. But does this new lesson plan add up? CTV's Beth McDonnell has more details and reaction from parents.
And a cake, yes.
Learning to read with a new approach. It's coming to 250,000 students in Ontario's kindergarten classrooms. Education Minister Stephen Lecce says while a majority of students are meeting reading standards, it's important not to be complacent.
Ontario must keep our curriculum relevant to the latest evidence and to the labour market needs of our economy. We know many young people over years of challenges have faced some regression.
Published in 2022, the Ontario Human Rights Commission's Right to Read report on issues affecting students with reading disabilities made recommendations to the kindergarten curriculum.
How are you today?
Right now, the province's youngest students learn to read with what's often called balanced literacy, learning based more on context, like making a connection with an image. Already used in grades 1 to 8, the new approach, structured literacy, is systematic with an emphasis on phonetics.
We know with the structured literacy approach that it's one of those necessary for some, beneficial for all pieces. So even the kids who may pick up on reading more easily and not need as much of that are still going to benefit and not be hurt by having that focus in the classroom.
Other changes? While kindergarten will remain plain-based, there will also be explicit, mandatory, and daily built-in instruction to set students up for success in later years. When it comes to math, students will start to learn about fractions and coding. Parents we spoke with seem open to the changes, with playing at school a top priority.
They need to play and they need to learn by playing, or it's not just like, too much instruction is not going to help them, I believe.
I think kids should enjoy kindergarten until they get to higher classes, and then the serious education can start.
I find this to be more of a grade 1 job, to be honest with you, learning how to read, but introduction for sure.
I think they're just trying something different. I guess time will tell if it'll work or not.
Ontario is playing catch-up compared to the UK, and jurisdictions in the US, says this literacy development expert.
A lot of the types of activities that we promote in early literacy and the foundations of reading can be done in a fun way. Like we set out lily pads on the floor, and kids can jump on the different letters as we say the sounds out loud.
The new curriculum is still being developed with the goal of implementing it in September 2025.
And that was Beth McDonnell reporting. An annual summit on the concerns of rural communities in Ontario is wrapping up in Toronto. Delegates at the Rural Ontario Municipal Association Conference heard from some opposition leaders this morning. This was Bonnie Crombie's first major speech since taking the helm of the Ontario Liberal Party. She says the Ford government has failed rural Ontario with a series of backtracks.
Reducing wait times and ending hallway medicine, heritage preservation, and goodness knows, ministerial zoning orders, or MZOs. Folks, this Ford only drives in reverse.
I mean, we have a persistent and growing homeless crisis, and we need a government that's actually going to start investing in, you know, deeply affordable co-op, nonprofit, and social housing, permanent supportive housing.
Yesterday, Premier Doug Ford promised more help for housing in rural Ontario, saying he'll allow more remote towns to share in the province's $1.2 billion Building Faster fund.
A family from Thunder Bay say they've enjoyed their 15 minutes of fame on a popular game show.
The Vereshchuk cousins were in Toronto last fall for a taping of Family Feud Canada. They came up just short of a victory in the episode that aired last night. Jonathan Wilson has the story.
And they're playing against the Vereshchuk family. Let's say hello to them. Nancy, how are you?
Hey, Jerry.
The Vereshchuk family is made up of sisters Nancy Murray and Michelle Peasy, Michelle's daughter Brittany Parnell, and their male cousins Sean and Andrew Vereshchuk. They started off hot, stealing the first round from the defending champs from Scarborough.
Nancy, something your spouse does that you'd rather pay a professional to do better?
My hair.
Hair.
Jerry.
Then it was Michelle Peasy's time to shine.
Name something that might turn a good night's sleep into a great night's sleep.
Great pillows.
Great pillows.
Good night of sex.
Good night of sax, the saxophone.
But the local family struggled after that to get the right answers.
And we got to play, which was good. And a lot of the questions, when you're playing them at home, you're here like, oh, I know the answer, you're getting it. But when you're there, like, sometimes it just totally passes you by. Like, you don't realize how quick things happen.
It all came down to the triple point round, with the Vereshchuks needing to steal with only one answer on the board.
You get this, you win the game. If you don't, they win the game. Name something that has a captain.
Military.
The military for the win. If it's up there, we're playing for 10,000. Go for the military.
Despite the loss, the family says they loved every minute of the experience.
You know what? We were just so excited. We said on the plane going down there, we were just going down there to spend time with each other, the camaraderie, have a good time, make some amazing memories, and that's exactly what we did. So we didn't come home with a lot of money, but we came home with a ton of memories.
No, I wasn't disappointed at all. I was actually very surprised how much I enjoyed it, and I thought I would feel very nervous and very shy, but they make you feel so comfortable there. They set you up in their studio and in their space very well, and they make sure you're taken care of and ready to play a good game.
And there's another Thunder Bay family appearing on the game show next month. The Dampier family's episode is scheduled to air on February 19th. Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
Organizers of the Parade of Lights are celebrating another successful fundraiser. The Thunder Bay Police Association, which organizes the popular event, handed over a big check today to the 4 charities that are supported by the parade every year. The 24th annual parade was held on December 2nd, with a record 154 vehicles and floats all lit up for the Christmas season. The parade raises money for Autism Ontario, Special Olympics Ontario, the George Jeffrey Children's Centre, and the Therapeutic Riding Association. Former Police Association President Greg Stevenson is the parade chair. He presented a check worth just over $44,000 to be split equally between the 4 charities.
We are very happy. We had over 150 vehicles this year, which I think is a record. We raised over $44,000, which is tremendous for the 4 charities that do so much work around the area. And I mean, we were lucky, obviously, with the weather. No snow, but it was warm. And we had lots of people come out. I have not heard any negatives about the parade whatsoever.
Government funding only goes so far with our programs and services at George Jeffrey Children's Centre, so fundraised dollars are really, really important to offset the cost for programs and services offered at the centre. So fundraisers like this are really important to our organization, and we so appreciate the hard work. And we have fun decorating our float and going in the parade and waving at the crowds. It's so fun to see all the kids waving back at you, and yeah, it's nice.
The 25th annual parade will be held on December 7th, and Stevenson says they'll be gearing up earlier than usual to make sure the parade is bigger and better for the milestone anniversary.
Yeah, well, one difference now, we actually have some snow
on the ground.
It looks a little more like Christmas than it did back when they held the Parade of Lights. But we turn now to Haley Perreault on weather today. And Haley, it was a bit of a cloudy one out there today.
Yes, it was certainly cloudy, and we did have a bit of a messy situation when it came to our precipitation. We had a light snow today, still coming down, but it came in a form that was a little bit more wet, kind of more damp than we saw the previous days. But right now we're actually moving into more of a freezing drizzle, and we're currently at our high for the day, which is -7, feeling like -11 with the wind chill. And our coldest point of the day actually wasn't very much colder. We had a low of -10, feeling like -15 with the wind chill. As we take a look at our region right now, Red Lake is experiencing temperatures and weather systems similar to us. They're experiencing a little bit of freezing drizzle at the moment. They're currently at -8. Kenora, Sioux Lookout, and Uppsala, a little warmer at -6 right now. Dryden and Atikokan at -5. And then our warmest area in the region, Fort Frances, at -3 currently. Our colder area would be Armstrong and Greenstone. They're the coldest in the region right now, but -13 is actually seasonal for January, so not too bad in all. But right now, as we look into the evening, we'll see that tonight we're going to stay pretty steady temperature-wise. -7 is what we're predicted, feeling like -10 with the wind chill. It'll stay cloudy, and like I mentioned earlier, that risk of freezing drizzle is here, and it's planned to continue throughout the evening. So Ryan, I hope you brought an umbrella to work, because that drizzle, you wouldn't want to mess up your hair or anything.
Oh, there's no saving this. I think that ship has long since sailed. Thanks a lot, Haley.
No problem.
All right, well, let's turn our attention to national news now. Some big news coming out of the federal courts today. A judge has ruled that the government's use of the controversial Emergencies Act to clear the convoy protest from Ottawa back in 2022 was unreasonable. We'll have more on that right after the break.
I was certain when I testified before Rouleau, and I remain certain today.